I can just hear the dong of the church clock here in Tucson. So it's time to get going. And this morning I am not alone. I have the wonderful Jean-Marc, my lovely husband, with me. So if you've got any questions, Jean-Marc is going to be showing us today how you tell when a grape is ripe. Tu vas montrer quand on sait qu'un raisin est mûr. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at the ripeness. So where are we? Let's just come back to the map. So here we are on the relief map of Tucson because it's so wrinkly today. We're in Colombier. So just below Tucson, if you've got your maps out and your torchon, your tea towels, we're in the Colombier, so basically just next to the house. But this is a great vineyard to show you what we are going to show you today, which is the mix of old vines here and also the ripeness of the grapes. So just to locate you, we're sort of a bit in a dip here. So over this side, can we see the Chateau d'Aguilar? Just about, that's this direction. With Languedoc, the rest of Languedoc over there. That's down towards Narbonne, across these wonderful old vines here. We come via Diane, morning Diane, across here. This is the Toche mountain, up to 900 meters behind us here in the background. And that's the Macabre vineyard in the foreground. But look at that sky. And I think you've got the same weather. Oh, hi, Mum and Dad. I think you've got the same weather over in the UK at the moment. But just look at that blue sky. It's lovely. And this is the best time of day. It's absolutely lovely. There's a slight chill in the air. So I was promising you a vague de chaleur or a canicule, a heat wave. That hasn't actually happened here. So we've got quite low night temperatures. Anyway, so I'm here with Monsieur Jones and we're off for a ramble. So you ready, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Astrid. Okay, I just take out my earphones so that we can hear you as well. So just to show, so here is a graph of,
Hier c'était 31.
okay, so this is the graph, get it into focus, of the day and night temperatures. So, le 31 c'est où?
Température à midi.
So at midday yesterday we were at 30.
Jusqu'à 18h.
Until 6 o'clock in the evening. So all day basically at 30.
Ce matin on était à 17.
And this morning it's gone down to 17. Ici on voit la semaine. And then if you look at the whole week, you get the idea here. So this is definitely not a graph. Vas-y, laisse comme ça et je... This is not a graph of a heat wave because you can still see you've got big differences between the day and the night temperatures. If this was heat wave, that line would be a lot flatter. Yeah. Je dis que c'est pas canicule parce que il y a des hauts et des bas.
Ouais, c'est bien pour la maturité.
And that's great for ripening grapes, oui.
Par exemple, là, on était monté à 34, mais dans le lendemain, c'était 22 la nuit.
So it's gone up to say like 20 to 30, but then it's come down by 10 degrees, and that's great to help to keep the aromas in the grapes as they're ripening. Bon, on va aller voir tes raisins.
Ouais.
Yeah. Let's go and have a look at the grapes. Off we go. So we're in the Colombier vineyard. This is majority old vine Carignan, so 80-year-old Carignan. Yeah, Julie, just to reply to your question, is that better for the grapes? It is better to have a difference between the day and the night temperatures. It keeps the aromatics in the grapes and it really helps that develop. So yes, we're really happy. It's much better than having a canicule or a heat wave, which is not great for the ripening of the grapes. So it's a 110-year-old vineyard, mainly so 80% Carignan. So this is where our vieux cépage Carignan comes from, and part of Lagar Carignan too. And here, let's see what Jean-Marc.
Quand on regarde un raisin, il est tout noir. Celui-là, par exemple, il est pratiquement tout noir.
Okay, so when we look at this bunch of grapes here, it looks like it's completely black. So the veraison has finished. And you can see, like for me, I'd say, oh yeah, that looks really ripe. You know, I could almost be out there picking that. Look, it looks perfectly ripe, but this is where we can show you.
Ensuite, si on prend une baie de raisin,
So if we look into one of the grapes, this is how you can check to see if it's ripe or not.
là, toute la couleur est dans la peau, mais encore la peau n'est pas mûre.
So all the colour, as we said before, is in the skins of the grape.
Et à l'intérieur,
And then inside the grape,
en fait, le pépin est vert.
you can see that the pip is still very green. Attends, je vais zoomer sur là. So you can see the pip is still really green. Okay, and
Et la pulpe est accrochée au
you
pépin.
can see like all of the pulp is still sticking to the pip. And if you look at the skin, there's not much pulp left in the skin. There's a bit stuck to the edge of the skin, but the other pulp is still very much sticking around the pip. Et ça, c'est pas mûr alors si
Non,
c'est...
c'est évident que ce n'est pas mûr.
So it's obvious that it's not ripe, because when it is ripe, the pip will be... Ça change de couleur.
C'est complètement marron. Et là, on voit qu'il commence déjà à avoir un peu de couleur.
So having said it's not ripe, if you turn over the pip, you can see that on one side... Attends, je montre le pépin. On one side, it is slightly brown. Là, le côté marron. So...
Et là, on commence à avoir un côté qui prend un peu de couleur.
So you can see that it's starting to go brown. So that's the grapes will be ripe when the pips have to be brown, and also the pulp has to fall off the pips and not be stuck on the pips. So let's have a look at another one. So interesting fact that all the colour in red wines comes from the skins, and you can see quite clearly here Jean-Marc's just taking the skin off. The skin is black and the inside is it's green
La
white.
pulpe est blanche, ouais.
So, and that's always the case. So let's have a look at another one. So here we go again. So that's the pulp. Et c'était collé au pépin ou là c'était un peu plus
À la
mûr?
peau.
À la peau. So the pulp was stuck to the skin.
Mais les pépins commencent à devenir...
And you can see the pip here is just starting to go brown. See, so it's green and brown. So we need to wait until the whole pip is brown completely.
Là, on voit que ça évolue, mais encore, ce n'est pas mûr.
So it's getting there, but it's definitely not ripe yet. So how long before we can pick, Jean-Marc?
Difficult to know, but it's
I think we're about the 6th or 7th
maybe
today.
1 month.
Another month? Oh, so we've still got another month.
I don't know
to
exactly,
relax.
but yeah. For the red, maybe, yeah.
So for the red, perhaps another month, another 4 weeks. So this is the Carignan. Because, yeah, you can see here, there's still some bunches that are still going through veraison.
On peut regarder aussi dans une vigne, dans les vieilles vignes.
So we can also see, like, Jean-Marc's off, in an old vine.
Par exemple, ça c'est un macabeu.
The mixture of grapes. So here we've got a macabeu. So this is a macabeu vine. Although we're 80% Carignan, look at this. Whoa, big bunch. Macabeu traditionally very big bunches. Oh, fighting with the vine. And morning macabeu, and here's some more. Look at these. So this is just one of these bunches here. One souche or pied or vine, macabeu vine, which has just been sort of planted amongst the Carignan. So there was macabeu. Now we've got a Grenache gris. So there's a Grenache. Oh, I'm getting bitten. Il y a des mouches. Mais c'est quoi? Sorry, I think I've got a flower. These are Grenache gris. So we just saw the macabeu. Next to that is a Grenache gris. And then what else have we got?
Blanc.
A Grenache white. So that's the third grape variety in this vineyard that we've seen. We've had macabeu, Grenache gris, and this is white Grenache, Grenache blanc.
Là, c'est un Carignan.
A Carignan. So grape variety number 4, the Carignan, and this is the majority of the vineyard is Carignan. This is quite typical of Carignan. See, there's like these little peas, green peas still in the Carignan bunches. Okay, so that's grape variety number 4. We've had Macabeu, Grenache Gris, Grenache Blanc, Carignan, and then just coming over here, we've got
Grenache Noir.
Grenache Noir. So that's 5 grape varieties. Look at there's a light on that, on the little pink grapes. So this is ça c'est Grenache, c'est ça?
C'est Grenache Noir.
So this is black Grenache here. So literally we've just walked from over here, round here. We've done about 2 rows of the vineyard and we've already got 5 different grapes. We've got Macabeu,
Grenache
Gris, Grenache Blanc, Grenache Noir, et Carignan. So in like I don't know, like 4 square meters, we've got 5 different grape varieties.
Ça c'est une vigne qui a été plantée il y a plus de 100 ans.
So the vineyard, and the reason for that is it was planted at least 100 years ago.
Et à cette époque-là, donc les vignerons n'avaient pas leur objectif, c'était pas de faire des variétés uniques, c'était de faire du vin. Et ils allaient ramasser les bois.
And so at the time, sorry, I remember what you said. And so why have we got like 5 different grape varieties in this vineyard? Basically, it's planted over 100 years ago. And 100 years ago, their main objective was to make wine. It wasn't to have a vineyard which was 100% Carignan or 100% Grenache. And so they would go and they would actually graft the vines themselves. So it's like a Massal selection. They would go and collect the wood from older vines, other vines, and graft it onto the rootstock. And
et là, c'était les variétés qui étaient principalement plantées dans la région. Donc ils allaient dans les vieilles vignes qui étaient en bonne santé, ils prenaient des bois et ils greffaient. Mais après, c'était aléatoire, parce qu'en hiver, ils ne voyaient pas quelles étaient les souches.
And because they did it in the winter, when you go and cut wood in the winter, you're not quite sure what type of vine you're taking it from. So they would just go into one of their other vines in the village.
C'est un papillon.
And so I'm being attacked by a butterfly. And they would take the wood from a vineyard in the winter, so they wouldn't know which grape variety it was. And so that's why we just get quite a big mixture, because their main objective was just to replant a vineyard. It wasn't to have 100% Carignan. It all went into the cooperative, so they weren't that bothered what was actually in the vineyard. Having said that, it is majority Carignan, so 80% Carignan. I saw Paul just said that would be fantastic for a field blend. That's right, it would. A field blend is... Il y a quelqu'un qui dit que ça serait génial de ramasser tout et de faire un field blend. C'est
le vin,
je sais pas comment on dit, c'est un assemblage de la vigne. Ouais. What we actually do, Paul, is we come in and we pick the whites. So les blancs, ça va être prêt...
Les blancs, je pense, dans, je sais pas, 2 semaines.
So 2 weeks. If I get quarantined in England, then I'm going to miss the harvest. So the whites are probably 2 weeks off for picking. They've already started picking the muscat in Rivesaltes. C'était à Rivesaltes qu'ils ont commencé. For dry muscat. So the harvest has started down over in the Roussillon. So here we think another 2 weeks, and we would come in, everything's hand picked, and we would come in, we'd pick all the white grapes first, and then we'd come in probably about 2 or 3 weeks later to pick the Carignan, the red grapes, so the Carignan, and then what is left of the, if there's other bits of red as well, like the Grenache that we just saw too. So let's have a look at your questions. And please, if you have any questions, please put them in the question box at the bottom. So this is from Lisa, Grumpy Amazon, who says, do you have to pick a grape from each bunch to test the ripeness? Donc, Lisa demande, est-ce qu'il faut qu'on ramasse une grappe de chaque pied pour savoir si la maturité est bonne?
Je le fais surtout entre les blancs et les gris, et après les rouges. Donc le Carignan et le Grenache
so first of all,
noir.
we separate it into reds and whites. So we would check on the white.
On cherche moins de maturité sur les blancs.
Yeah, so we wouldn't mix up the red and the white grapes. So we would check, when we come in to check if the white is ready, we would pick sample grapes from the Grenache gris, so from the grey Grenache and from the Macabeu and from the white. Et tu prends combien? Tu prends de chaque pied? Tu prends des baies?
Il y a des différences dans la même vigne, donc on essaie de prendre les pieds qui sont représentatifs. Donc on prend un peu de tous les pieds.
Et combien de baies tu prends?
La théorie c'est 200.
So the theory, Lisa, here is that you're meant to pick, to get a representative sample, you're meant to take 200 grapes par hectare.
Non, par parcelle. Quand tu fais un échantillon pour qu'il soit représentatif.
Okay. So to get a representative sample from any vineyard parcel, you need to pick 200 grapes.
Ouais, parce qu'après tu dois peser les baies, et si tu veux peser les baies, il faut que ce soit toujours les mêmes types d'échantillons. Donc, mais pour ce que nous voulons faire, en fait, je ne fais pas 200 baies.
But we don't do that.
Je vais dans les zones qui me paraissent intéressantes et je regarde.
And this is where the experience comes in, really, because quand tu dis peser, c'était peser le poids pour voir le sucre.
Ouais. Là, tu mesures l'évolution du poids de la baie.
So why you would pick 200 grapes would be because you would actually weigh the grapes to see how the ripeness is advancing, is progressing. So you would take 200 grapes and you'd weigh them to see the weight of the sugar, the grapes ripening and converting into sugar. We don't do that. We actually come in. Jean-Marc knows, because he's been doing it for so many years, the vines that he needs to pick the grapes from. So he will get a representative sample. Toi, tu prends à peu près combien de baies?
Ça dépend des parcelles. Certaines fois.
So it just depends, basically, from which field, vineyard.
Entre 50 et 100.
We pick probably between 50 and 100 grapes. We then, tu les mets dans un sachet en plastique.
Ouais, on les écrase.
So we'll see this when we come back, when we get closer, when we are out and checking them. We'll actually see Jean-Marc in the process of checking the ripeness on the grapes, because you actually pick about 50 grapes, you squeeze the juice into a plastic bag, and then from there you can take a test sample with a refractometer. And it is actually quite interesting. Jean-Marc's, when he does it, we always get a very different result, because when I do it, I just pick the grapes that look the nicest and the ripest, whereas Jean-Marc knows that you're meant to pick the ones that look like they're underripe to get a very representative sample across the vineyard.
Après, le poids est intéressant des baies, parce qu'en fait, on peut savoir si la maturité évolue dans le bon réellement, ou si en fait les paramètres évoluent par concentration.
Okay.
C'est-à-dire que s'il y a trop de sécheresse, en fait, le sucre ou l'acidité n'évolue pas forcément, elle se concentre.
Pardon?
Elle m'écoute pas.
So I was trying to do like 3 things at once, so I'm sorry about that. But Jean-Marc said that it was important to... Quoi? Le poids?
Je répète.
Yes, sorry, Jean-Marc, I'm listening.
Le poids des baies est intéressant pour savoir si ce sont les maturités qui évoluent réellement ou si c'est de la concentration dans les baies. C'est-à-dire qu'il peut y avoir un blocage de la maturité, mais c'est le fait de se concentrer qui fait évoluer les paramètres.
Yeah, concentrate, that word concentrate. So Katie is concentrating. What Jean-Marc said is that we weigh the grapes. It's interesting to weigh the grapes to see if they are actually ripening.
Ce sera pour la prochaine fois. Next time.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it next time. I think probably the French speakers got that one. But I got distracted by Julia, naughty Julia, who says, "J'adore ta coiffure."
Qui? Moi?
Toi, ouais.
Hein? Pourquoi?
She really likes it.
Ah, okay.
Elle aime bien, Julia. It's a Biarritz haircut, actually, Julia, that one. So thanks very much for that. You did distract me, but we will get back to the concentration of grapes and why it's important to weigh them. It's just to check that they are actually ripening, because the grapes get heavier as they ripen with the sugar content. And so if you weigh them, you can make sure they're still ripening, because if it gets too hot, and that answers somebody else's question that was up here, was if it gets too hot, it can block the ripening process. So if you get a canicule or a vague de chaleur, a heat wave, it can actually stop the grapes from ripening. The plant actually shuts down, and you can check that by weighing, keeping a constant look on the progression of the weight of the berries.
Là, ce qui était
So I
intér-
did
ce-
listen.
ce qu'on voit
sort
qui était
of.
intéressant,
Yeah.
c'est que lorsqu'il y a trop de sécheresse, les feuilles sèchent au
Yeah.
centre de la
So
flûte.
this is answering a question that came up was what happens if there's a heat wave? What can happen if there's a heat wave? So when there's a vague de chaleur or a heat wave,
Et là, on voit que les feuilles sont...
so the leaves
sont
can
vertes.
actually fall off if it gets too hot for too long. Donc les feuilles peuvent tomber.
Mais là, on a les feuilles, et donc c'est bon pour la maturité, la charge.
Okay. Et donc si les feuilles tombent, c'est ça qui bloque la maturité.
Ouais.
So if the leaves fall off, that blocks the ripening process of the grapes. But you can see here, and this is the great thing with old vines, these are like 110 years old. So you can see they're looking really lush, really green, absolutely no signs of any stress. They call it stress, water stress.
Ça, c'est des vieilles vignes qui sont bien enracinées.
So their roots go so far down in this lovely soil here that they can get moisture, they can get the water that they need to make sure the leaves stay on and stay nice and green, and hence that the bunches of grapes ripen. Look at these lovely,
Là,
ça a l'air bien, non?
ce qui est intéressant à voir aussi, ça c'est le raisin normal principal qui mûrit. Et on peut voir les grappillons et la différence de qualité.
Let's have a look here. This is again another thing. If you're thinking of buying vineyards and you're thinking, oh, how do I do it? How do I know when my grapes are ripe? What do I need to do? So this is a bunch of Carignan here. So they're ripening nicely. They're the main bunch. But then if we go up the sarment, so up the stalk, and we get to the top, ooh, what's this? It's like really green grapes.
Ça, ce sont les grappillons.
And they're called grappillons.
Qu'on ne ramasse pas parce qu'il y a de trop grandes différences. C'est acide, ce n'est pas bon pour la qualité.
So this is very acidic. You can see the difference. Oh, so that's coming off. Oh, they're both coming off now because they are not going to ripen. They will turn red, but they're not going to ripen as much as these bunches that are already. Oh, so they're. Tu les veux pas, ça?
Non.
No. Already ripening here. What we could do, mais au lieu de les jeter, on pourrait faire du verjus.
I don't like the verjus.
I said, like, instead of throwing them on the floor, we could go around this vineyard and pick all the grappillons. Anybody up for helping us this weekend? Pick the grappillons. And then we could make some verjus. Jean-Marc's not too keen on the idea. But these grappillons are always on the end of the sarment or the sticks here, the branches. Okay. Est-ce qu'on a autre chose? Let's see. Oh, perhaps one more question. Have a look. Okay, I'll keep pressing. Any more? Yeah, I could cook with it. The verjus, that's what I would want to do. Here we go. Paul, il a une question. Il dit, il regarde sur les raisins, il voit de la, je sais pas comment ça s'appelle en français, comme les, la quoi?
La pruine, la couche blanche qui...
La pruine.
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 Pruine. Comme prune, mais pruine.
Pruine. So I've learned a new word this morning. Bloom is called pruine.
Pruine.
In French, like prune, but pruine. And Paul said, il a vu la pruine sur les raisins. Est-ce qu'on utilise les levures naturelles pour la fermentation?
Aujourd'hui, non. Disons qu'elles font partie du vin, mais on rajoute des levures.
Yeah.
Qui sont des levures qui sont sélectionnées.
Yeah, no, we actually add yeast when we're in the fermentation process, and that's basically because we feel like we can control the ferment a lot better while we're doing that. But thinking about the fermentation process, Paul, this might interest you. We may be thinking about doing a vin orange. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jean-Marc, that was a nod. Yeah. So this year we're going to try out making an orange wine. So an orange wine is when you leave the skins in on the white wine for about 10 days and you get what is called an orange wine. So we will be trying that out this year. And
avec les grenaches gris, entre autres.
With the grenache gris, yeah, from that new vineyard. Mm-hmm. Should we do it from the new vineyard? How much shall we make? How much orange wine?
I don't know. It's a test, first time.
First time. So let's perhaps not make too much orange wine. We could make perhaps 500 litres in a small tank. Yeah? Okay. Anybody up for tasting the orange wine when that's ready? Grenache Gris Vin Orange. It's going to be a first this vintage. Oh, Grenache, yeah, it sounds lovely. Saint-Amans, I want to taste your gin as well. Yeah, orange wine, yeah, a lot of interest in the orange wine. I think we might need to make a bit more. And here's a question from Lisa. Do you do more than one pick in a vineyard? Est-ce qu'on rentre plusieurs fois dans la même parcelle pendant les vendanges pour ramasser?
Par couleur, non, normalement.
Okay, so yes, but not per colour. So per colour, for example, if we want to make a white wine, we will come in and we'll pick the Grenache Gris and the Grenache Blanc together. And then we'll pick the reds together. So the answer is yes, we do come in several times. We'll come in to pick the white grapes, and then a couple of weeks later we'll come back and we'll pick the red grapes. Which we can do because we have our harvesting team already. We normally have Spanish people to help us pick, but this year, because of the COVID situation, we've got a team of locals from Touchon coming to help. So, on a combien maintenant qui sont prêts à démarrer pour les vendanges?
On a remplacé les 4 Espagnols par 4 Français.
Ouais,
donc on va être en tout une dizaine.
So we're going to be about 10 pickers, all from the village of Touchon this year. So we're looking forward to it. It feels like it's just around the corner. Ça va arriver. So unless I get blocked in England with the 14-day quarantine period, because I'm hoping to pop back next week to Ashby de la Zouche to see Mum and Dad. So I'm going to have to get in there before the quarantine period comes up if that does happen. Otherwise, I think I'm going to miss the harvest. Sinon, peut-être je risque de rater les vendanges si je...
C'est juste un détail.
Yeah, it's just a small detail. So, this evening, perhaps on peut terminer avec un Grenache Noir.
Ouais.
Let's have a look at a Grenache Noir, which will take us nicely on to our rock tasting for this evening. So, just a final look at the lovely Grenache Noir. Oh, look, that's ripening. Donc, on est content de la qualité, globalement?
Oui, pour cette année. Là, c'est... Au printemps, on avait un peu la pression, on va dire. Mais là, pour le moment, c'est très bien.
Yeah, so we were a bit worried during the spring. If you remember, if you followed me, or you can watch them on YouTube, we had 2 weeks of rain, even more. So we did have mildew at the beginning of the year. But you can see here, it hasn't affected the quality at all. And I asked Jean-Marc, is he happy with the quality of the grapes? And it's quite unusual for him to say yes, but he did actually say
yeah. For the moment, yeah.
For the moment, we haven't picked them yet. So
more important is when all is finished.
So yeah, we'll be able to tell you when we've actually picked them, but they are looking fantastic. This is Grenache Noir, and this evening at 8:30 French time, 7:30 UK time, this evening we'll be up on the rock, which is up here, and we'll be tasting the Grenache Noir. So I hope that you can join us this evening from the rock and a taste of the Domaine Jones Grenache Noir. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
À ce soir. Pour tout le monde.
À ce soir. Thanks very much, Jean-Marc. And I'll leave you with a lovely view of...
c'est le vent marin qui rentre.
You can see here, this is the sea breeze coming in. So it's not actually windy, il fait pas de vent.
Oui, mais il y a les influences du marin. Et ça, c'est plutôt bien parce que ça permet aux feuilles de respirer, même s'il fait chaud.
Oh, so now it's all changed now because it's actually quite good. Can you see that cloud? It's coming in quite quickly. Ça rentre vite. So the cloud from the sea, so that's a sea breeze. And although it's not windy, there's just this very gentle, well, sort of mist coming in, the clouds coming in. And Jean-Marc actually said, that's good. So you remember before, I've always said the sea breeze, it's not a good one, you get floppy baguettes. But in actual fact, at this time of year, when there's a little bit of sea breeze, it really helps the vines to breathe better.
Ouais, c'est l'hygrométrie qui est plus élevée.
Yeah, so a higher humidity, so the vines are going to be happier. So these lovely old vines are going to have a happy afternoon here. Whereas, as I mentioned the other day, when it's a north wind and it's really hot, that dries the vines too much. Donc, en fait, quand c'est le vent du nord maintenant, c'est pas forcément bon non plus.
S'il est trop fort et trop chaud, non.
Yeah, so if it's too hot and too windy, it's like a hairdryer on the vines, and they don't like it as much as this lovely sea breeze that's coming in over there. Oh, perhaps I'll just sit in the vineyard now and wait for the sea breeze to...
Ouais, mais ce matin il faisait 17 degrés, c'est très bien.
Yeah, and it's 17 degrees this morning. It was lovely. Now it must be about 25. maintenant,
Non.
ça commence à chauffer. But I think I'm just going to sit in the vineyard, Jean-Marc, and I'll see you later on the rock.
Yeah, if you want. I go to work. No.
You go to bed. Yeah, I'm just going to sit here. Okay. Right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks very much.
Bye.
And we'll see you this evening on the rock. Bye.